Hi, it's your great girlfriend, Brandis Daniel. I am so excited to announce that I am now an author. Yes, I've authored a book sponsored How to Get Brands to Pay for Your Next Event. Over the last 10 years, I've secured over $2 million in sponsorships for my company, Harlem's Fashion Row, and now I am teaching you how to do the same. You can get my new book on www.mysponsoredbook.com.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Daniel.
We have an amazingly fun, great guy friend here. My husband, life coach, art director, and all around awesome dude, Kwaku and Amuti.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be back. Hey.
Welcome back. So, girlfriends, if you have not listened, if this is your very first podcast with us, Kwaku is our resident go-to guy for anything men related, right, Brandis?
Yes, absolutely.
We find that we get really super sound advice from him, and he has shared with us on episode 32. I think it was the dating game.
Standards versus preferences, yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And hilarious.
It was so funny. It was super funny.
Shout out to my co-host, Dee.
Yes, to your co-host, Dee. It was awesome. And then also on When a Man Loves a Woman, I think that was episode 78.
I believe
if I'm not mistaken. And so there were eight signs that a man loves a woman, which I thought were fantastic signs. And then Brandis and I, we followed up that episode talking about when a woman loves a man, ways that you'll know. But we're back because This month we're focused on love.
That's a good topic. Very good topic.
Focused on love. You know what it is, Brandis? Last year we did this and we did it again. Cuffing season is here.
Yeah,
it's getting cold.
Preseason for cuffing is over.
Right. The draft happened in September, right?
Yeah.
So cuffing season is here. And as the weather changes, people start getting a lot more intimate with each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not always the right guy. And so most of our girlfriends would agree that if you had to choose between a guy you like or someone that you could be in love with, you'd rather have love.
I think any human being would rather have love.
But it's not always a short yellow brick road.
No. It's long and bumpy. So
before we dive into all of that, I just want to say really quickly, congratulations to Brandis. We're coming right back to Kwaku, but I definitely got to say congratulations to Brandis on a hugely successful event in Memphis this past weekend, HFR 10-year anniversary event.
Shout out to all of our Memphis GGs who were out in full effect there to support. It was so incredible. So thank you, all of you who are listening.
The pictures were fantastic. I mean, absolutely stunning. And I heard nothing but amazing things from everyone. So cheers to you, my girl.
And cheers to you who have just launched a new podcast, Grace.
Hey.
If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you check out Sybil's new podcast, which is just Grace.
Yes, it's called The Grace Podcast. It's available on iTunes or Google Play. I'm so excited. We're less than a week. I say meaning we and the listeners, less than a week into the launch, and we have 5 stars on iTunes already.
Hey.
I'm so grateful. And I think I've got like 29 reviews. My goal is to get 100 reviews going. I know I can get that. So if you do happen to listen, shoot a quick review over with your 5 stars. Hint, hint. And but if you do give me less than 5 stars, I'm not tripping. But I would love 5. And just help me out so we can make it to new and noteworthy in iTunes.
I love it. Absolutely. And look, and speaking of podcasts, a new project. So Kwaku, since the last time we talked, Kwaku has actually launched a new platform, Proverb for Men. And that was one of the reasons that prompted this episode too, because now, guys, he is coming back to the table with not only his amazing wisdom, but with all of this incredible insight from the guys that he works with.
Yeah, we're blessed. We're a little over about 10 months old now, and we reach about 1,300 men and get lots of great insights and great conversations. And guys are really communicating. So I'm proud of the group. Shout out to all the Proverb men out there. And yeah, we're moving.
Good. So you take all that good insight, that wisdom, and all that information, and you funnel it over to the great girlfriends.
Exactly.
so sisterhood can win.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I'm teaching the men on our end how we can win, and a lot of times it's through my mistakes, and then through honest discourse with the other guys. But yeah, the goal is for all of us to win and to really find love, because I really think that that's what we all want.
So let's talk a little more about that. Brandon, you ready to dive
I'm ready.
in? Let's do it. All right. You've got all of these amazing men who are sharing their perspective around love and relationships. And as a life coach, you've gained a ton of experience around this now with some of the clients that you deal with. And then in our own life and experience, our kitchen table, I feel like it's like a therapy session every weekend.
It's the chopping block for some.
It is the chopping block. But there's so much value that you bring to this topic. Even in my personal experience with you, I can say I honor you as a husband, and I respect the way you love me, and I love you back. But what is it that we as women can learn about men and their perspective around around love? And you said at one point that it was for men, it was simple. Do you still feel that way?
I'm amending that a little bit. We're not as simple as society would make us out to be in needing three things that sex, sports, and quiet. We go way deeper than that. And I'm almost 100% sure that, every man would agree. We do have different goals. We have different, wants and needs and desires in life, especially in relationships, because that seems to be most men's stumbling blocks. Mm-hmm. And there are reasons for that. But we're not as simple. There are aspects of us that are.
Okay. What are the simple aspects? I want to know those.
I'm going to tell you straight up. Okay. If there was something I'd want all the listeners, all the female listeners to understand and realize about a man, and it seems common, but it's not commonly practiced, is that men are very clear communicators. We do not. There are very few of us that possess the innate ability to read between the lines. So I'll give you a perfect example. If a gentleman is not performing, his duties as far as a relationship is concerned, and he's really making his woman upset, and she doesn't clearly state that to him, but she comes home and rattles things or moves things around or huffs and puffs and things of that nature, she shouldn't be surprised if all she gets out of him is, "Are you okay?" Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we're not very good at translating that into "it must be me."
So you mean a woman is slamming pots and pans and plates around and you think all is well?
We don't think all is well. No. We won't think that all is well. We just won't think that we're the cause.
Look at girlfriends, if only you could see Brandon's face right now. That eyebrow that raised. No, well, okay, because I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing you say that men have a hard time translating our implicit communication. But what about men and their ability to articulate their feelings or their intentions or their interest in a woman? Like, is that simple? Because I've seen scenarios where a guy has had an interest in a woman but didn't verbalize it, and he under-communicated and left her hanging in a sense.
Well, not to get too deeply into it, because we can talk about that for days, but it's my belief, and I've seen it in tons of men, but we're not socialized to articulate.
Okay.
A lot of what we do coming up is not based on articulation. Our games, our social, our socialization with other men is mainly competitive. Mm-hmm. So at most it's yells and grunts and, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that kind of stuff. And that's the language we grow up in. Mm-hmm. So we can't make the jump over to, and so you're in this competitive space, in this competitive environment. And then next thing you know, I see someone that I want to date. Like I'll put it out there. I, in my mind, had this grand plan about proposing to Sybil. It was going to be horses and carriages in the park and everything. And I completely messed it up. I just had a ring. I was sweating. And all I did was push the ring to her and said, "Here." That was all it was, because I wasn't formalized. I didn't have a lot of time to practice verbalizing my needs, my wants, my fears, or anything like that.
And is that something that you're saying? Am I hearing you say that we as women need to understand that and use that as a guiding reference point? We need to know that going in, that in this species of a person that we're dealing with, we cannot expect the same level of communication that we tend to offer, that we're going to get it in a different way.
Yes.
So how do we get it? How do women get the clues that they need to know that they're on a love track with a guy?
Well, first and foremost, if you can easily watch his actions, mm-hmm. and you'll see. And it's not just he's spending a lot of time with you. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that kind of predicates it, because I've been around and I've heard, some of my closest like sisters tell me that a guy will just disappear for 2 weeks. The guy that's into you will not disappear for 2 weeks without you knowing where he is, how to get in touch with him. If he's on a ship somewhere, he will say, I will write you a letter, mm-hmm. or he'll let you know exactly when he's going to be back and exactly where he's going to be, because he's trying to make sure at that point that if I step out, I know that competition can come.
Right.
So I'm going to put my bid as awkwardly as I possibly can in to make sure that I'm interested. If he disappears for 2 weeks and you don't know, that's a sign. Mm-hmm. He's sending you a clear sign.
That he assigned that what?
That his. I'm trying to say it as eloquently as possible.
Brandis, what would you say if a guy disappeared?
Well,
for 2
there's
weeks?
a movie. He's not that into you.
Hello, goodbye.
Listen.
I don't care.
He may be weighing his options. I would say at that point, it's not that you're not the one. It's just you're not the only one.
You better weigh on, brother. You have no space here.
There you go.
You better weigh yourself to the curb, as my mother would say.
Right. But then we're getting into a conversation about standards. And that's episode 32 if you want to listen to it.
Oh, there it is.
But
so you're clear communicators, and actions are the primary way by which we can understand what you mean.
Yes.
Your intentions are typically displayed in action.
Yes.
Most men.
Yes.
I would say that's true, Brandis. Would you say you found that to be true?
I never had to question anything.
Yeah. And even in relationships that didn't go right, the actions proved,
No,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, always. You could always tell something was just a little bit off.
And even if a brother says one thing, but his actions were different, the actions were always really more of a guide and light in terms of how they feel about you.
Yeah, actions. Yeah, absolutely.
It's less of what I say, more of what I do.
But that comes into, honestly, Sib, I think what ends up happening, right, is I think every woman who's listening to this podcast has been in a situation where there's this guy who you meet that you just have that instant kind of connection with or infatuation with, right? And it's usually the really, really, really swagged up dude, right? And then y'all have a really good time. Those are usually the guys that take you on the absolute best dates ever, like 3 dates in one night, right?
Right.
And then y'all date for a minute, and then that's the guy who, after a couple of dates, you call him, don't hear from him, text him, don't hear from him. You're like, what just happened? And this is not necessarily any physical interaction or anything like that has happened. He's just off. But women often, because you're kind of caught up in that moment, you start making all kind of excuses.
Well, maybe his job took him over to Singapore for a month and he lost his phone in the ocean.
Oh my God. I did that so much in my 20s. Oh, yeah. Ridiculousness. When, overcomplicated. And they aren't complicated at all. As a matter of fact, when the guy comes who's serious, you won't ever have to have a conversation whether you guys are exclusive or not exclusive. That conversation won't even be necessary.
Yeah, he's going to lock you down.
He's fully locked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what else? What else have you learned? Give us a secret. Secret number 2. All right. So clear communicators. So we need to know, we need to take note of the actions and be willing to take a risk if the actions don't line up. Risk the idea that he's not the one and move forward instead of hoping that one day he will eventually act right.
Yeah.
Trying to get a dude to act right. You end up mothering him trying to get him to act right.
Okay. Now we're good segue into point 2. Point 2. And Lord, forgive me. We do not want to be mothered at our core. But he'll accept it if that's the role you take. I don't know.
Ow.
I don't know. Like, I deal with men on the other side that say, I don't know why she thinks she's my mom.
Because you throw your clothes on the floor. Like, they...
Yeah, but okay, but listen.
Just joking.
But listen, okay, let's take that one for example, throwing the clothes on the floor.
Okay.
He didn't ask you to pick him up.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to throw an example out for a second. I'm gonna throw a quick example because in year 1.5 of our marriage, right? We were in year 1.5. Kwaku would have amazing suits, right? And he would take them jokers off and he would throw them into a pile on the floor, like in the bedroom. And they would just pile up. I mean, they would pile up to the point where he'd be out of suits to wear and then look for something to wear and be grabbing Febreze. No, sir, you will not be Febreze in that suit today. I'm telling you what's not going to happen. You ain't going to be smelling like old suit up in here.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom.
But you see what happens? And maybe because my standard is different, that you may need to dry clean the suit or, wash the shirts or whatever, hang them up. But this is what he would do in practice. And this was every week for a long time. How long was that? It was a long time.
I'm so brand new right now. I don't know.
So I may have done a quick dive into motherhood and a quick training practice to get him into hanging stuff up, because that's not something that I want to live in. Now, granted, we probably should have set a standard as a couple to say, hey, how do we handle clothes in this house? And I probably assumed that by way of home training, you would hang your clothes up because you pay so much for them.
Let's just call it a different standard.
Sure.
Not home training.
I mean, I just thought that came in the home training kit. I didn't know that wasn't in the kit until we got married. And I was like, well, actually, that's a lie, because in his apartment, I should have known better.
So some of the grooming that men require do come with a little bit of mothering.
No, you can separate the two.
So what do you call it? What do you call that extra touch-up that you guys require? Just what do you call it? Quick name for it. What do you call it?
That's called the general responsibilities that exist in a relationship from both ends. Because y'all ain't all sharp yourselves. I'm gonna just go ahead and put that out there. Let's keep it real. Y'all don't come complete now.
You know what it is, though? I think it's more of who has a more dedicated eye on domestic affairs, domestic maintenance, and domestic, grooming and things like that. That makes a big difference in terms of where we do, because we don't consider it fatherhood. When they're out doing things that are utilitarian around the house.
It's funny. It's funny that when I'm around town with the kids, or I'm, taking them to play dates, or I'm at the grocery store with the kids, you would think I'm the sexiest man in the world, because like mothers are drooling because they've never seen a man do these things. It's like this.
Ain't nobody drooling. You ain't got to be putting Paramus moms on the block.
You see how you do that in there? So
I said out and about. I didn't mean
out and about.
Out and about in the world. But keep going about this. I think there's like a general leveling up that you do for your partner in a relationship. But I think that more times than not, women associate it with motherhood.
Yes.
But men don't. But look, men, I don't associate the tightening up that I did for you over the years. I don't associate with fatherhood at all. And I had a great father.
Okay.
It's just the role you take in a relationship. That's it. I don't even see it as, I'm not your father. Your father is a great man. And I honor him. He's like the king.
So what I'm hearing you say is what women need to consider is the fact that there is, what you call it, leveling up in a relationship.
Yeah, you want to level your partner up, right?
You want to level your partner up. And in order to do that, there are some things that might seem outside of your norm, that might lean in the realm of motherhood in your eyes. It's not motherhood. It's just leveling up.
Because let me tell you.
It's nurture.
Any mother knows that comparing dealing with a guy to mothering a child, completely different. You're not wiping him. Hopefully you're not. You know what I mean? You're not, there are things. No, they're not the same. They're not the same. They're not. They're light.
So, okay. So here's the deal. Great girlfriends. Want to hear from you on this topic.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're listening to this podcast right now and you have a comment for Kwaku, I would like for you guys to put it in the Great Girlfriends group. Hashtag Kwaku.
That's KWAKU. Let's make sure we spell it right. And I will answer it. I'll answer it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We might let you in our group for a day to answer those questions.
Look, ladies, bring it. I want to answer every question that you possibly have, because we don't need to be out here. I'm doing it from the men's side, but we don't need to be out here not knowing, not having an appreciation for each other. Because one of the things I had to do in relationship that worked out well for me, and it's still working out well, was I had to drop all expectation from Sybil. That meant if she never cooked another day, I'm fine. If she never, there's certain parts. If she never did a couple things, I would have a problem. But for the most part,
I'm weak now.
For the most part, I had to drop expectation and just blend into appreciation for who she is and how different she is from me, because it's that polarity that makes us who we are. I'm not going in to date me. I don't want to date me.
So I'm hearing you say to trade expectation for appreciation will make your love relationship feel more loving.
Yeah.
Or it will apply more love to the relationship. Or even if you want to intensify the connection that you have with someone, trade expectation for appreciation.
Okay, so
I like that.
Because here's what happens. Just break it down real quick. Here's what happens. You will have a woman feel like she's being a mother to a man, right? But then going back to point one, so she'll feel like this, she'll go back and she won't clearly communicate it with them. So at a certain point, and it's going to sound real rough, but if you're not going to openly and honestly communicate your feelings with him, it's not his fault. Mm-hmm. Because you're expecting him just to be able to read you, but he can't.
Yeah, I do think that's unfair, Brandis. Would you agree? I think that we come to a relationship where we come into love with two different playbooks, different experiences, and different appreciations and expectations. And so when we put those two together, there's a lot of reorienting that is it. Yes. Yeah. Reorienting that we have to do so that we can make something palatable out of a relationship.
Yeah.
But we can't just throw our expectations on other people and expect them to be able to view it the way we do, because it's, by definition, it's love.
Yeah.
We've all had seen love take shape in different ways in our lives. So it's not as simple as us saying love, as much as we have to lay out, all right, what does love mean to you? How does it feel to you? What is that? How can I show you love? Ask the questions.
Yeah. Because one of the things, even going back to the whole thing about, being his mother, and, one, you'll never be, two, you never want to be, because he understands and knows love as, this is a woman that's been here for me in most cases from the beginning of my life. So I never had to choose her, but she always chose me no matter what. That's something that you're not going to be able to do. And I don't want any of the listeners out there to even try, because then you'll fail. But your love with him and your relationship with him is more special because he chose it. Mm-hmm. Like his mom, she nurtured him, she cared for him, she did all that kind of stuff, and then she also drove him crazy. You know what I mean? There are times where they didn't get along. You know what I mean? Like there was an intimacy there that's not anywhere near the intimacy that he wants to have with you. So if you stop accepting the role of mother, stop.
Okay.
Because you have to accept it. Unless he comes into the house and says, I want you to be my mother.
Well, let's go back to even if you're just starting to date a guy. I mean, say you met him and you're 3 or 4 dates in, and you see things, you see signs that he is not ready to level up. Like he just doesn't know. Some guys just don't know.
A lot of them don't know.
And they haven't been, nothing's been required of them in terms of leveling up. So
where I think a lot of women can win is to start looking at, life, or looking at your relationships in the same way an investor would look at a company or a stock. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to start out high, but you got to look at him and say, is he worth the time and investment that I can put into him to eventually potentially see a return?
That sounds like a lot of work.
But Brandis, it is a lot of work, right?
Yeah, it is.
Would you say that that's something you had to put in when you first met Rich?
Some, yeah. I mean, relationships are work. We know that, right? But the basics were there.
Well, that's fine. If he has the basics, you can work with that.
But just have your portion to work with, whatever that was.
But here's the thing: when you got into
you said a lot of men don't have the basics.
Oh, then I.
But it depends on what your basics are.
Yeah, they're all relative.
They're relative.
That's true.
They're relative, yeah.
So Rich had your basics.
He did.
I had Sybil's basics. And you have his basics.
It's true.
And I have your basics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But you do know Memphis women don't have basics, right?
I'm not going to touch that. I'm
just saying.
I'm not going to touch that.
It's a different breed.
That's a huge market. We're not going to touch that.
Give us another secret. Come on, let's do it. Come on, give it to us.
Well, a lot of the things that I deal with on the men's side, men can't really figure out if women actually like them or not. So men will have a gang of friends that are females, but they don't necessarily know who's who. And I want to dispel the notion right now that we don't know necessarily when you guys are into us emotionally. Now, it's going to sound bad, but that's why the loose or the easy woman is she's easier to locate.
Because she communicates romanticism and
she communicates on our wavelength, which is physical.
Okay.
That's not to say go out there and, be physical with men. But that's why she looks like she's winning most times. When all the while, we want to connect with genuine, authentic women.
But you don't know they're interested.
No. And ladies, just so that you know, approaching you is a scary experience for us. And we don't like dealing with fear.
Why does it feel like we're at the 7th grade dance all over again? I mean, I'm just saying, do we need to break out the sheet again? Do you like me? Yes or no? With the checkbox.
Some guys may actually enjoy that one.
I seriously feel like emotionally, some of us, not calling a specific gender, men may have gotten stuck at the 7th grade dance. And
well, okay, but let me say this though.
Okay.
I don't want the generalization to be that we have just remained boys in life, period. It's just that we've never been required to grow emotionally.
Okay.
All of the signs for a man that equals success are not emotional.
Okay.
Almost none of them are.
So what do they point to? What's the order for men?
Financial.
Okay.
Number
next.
1. Physical. Number 2. Professional.
Okay.
Number 3.
Okay.
And the list generally stops there.
So emotional and spiritual are just kind of left off the list for you guys.
They're on the list. They're just, I'm dealing with the first 3 so much that I'll get to these when I can get to them.
Interesting.
That's true. I can totally see that.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I think ours may start with professional, physical. No. Let me see.
No, I believe, okay.
Professional, financial.
I would say, especially as you continue to, I would think it's personal first, which is yourself.
We neglect just as bad as
really.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
The only reason I kind of have to agree with Kwaku on this one is because there are some places that women have to develop through friendships, whereas men, y'all's friendships aren't as complex. So It's kind of just like, okay, let's go hang out, watch a game. Women sometimes have to grow personally because of relationships with other women.
I think we do more aspiration in that area than we actually show up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But what I'm trying to say is, at least you practice in these areas. There's actually work being done. Like, men don't do vision boards, and a vision board is all personal. It's all about yourself.
What good is a dusty vision board?
That's a whole nother podcast. But.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
But it's high. But here's the thing. The point I'm trying to get to is it's higher on your list than it is on ours.
It is definitely higher. You're right.
Like it could probably be in the top 5, where we have a 3 that we deal with. If my money is right, if my body is right, and if I got a good job, I'm winning as a man.
So we're just not on the same wavelength, that we're trying to meet up, and our expectations, our desires are in totally different place. Well, maybe not. Maybe, if we meet at a relatively similar percentage in certain areas, we link up there, and that's where we find our strength. For example, you and I somewhat had the same professional and personal desires at the time that we met. If you had met me 2 or 3 years before, we wouldn't have meshed up at all.
Right.
And it's probably likewise for you. But when we met, we were on the quest for similar things similar, I could just say relatively similar things at that time, which made it optimal for us to get together at that time because we were on the same frequency. Sometimes we meet people, maybe it's ahead of season, maybe it's out of season, and we're just not on the same wavelength.
We'll be right back after these messages. Hey, great girlfriends, it's that time of year again. We're inviting you to join us for the 2019 Great Girlfriends Doers and Disruptors Conference, June 13th through 15th in New York City. Our 3-day event includes exciting receptions, life-changing panels, connections, masterminds, and more. This year, we had over 100 women from around the world connect with like-minded girlfriends and create incredible memories. Now it's your turn to be a part of this exclusive event. Visit our website, www.thegreatgirlfriendsconference.com, to grab a ticket for yourself and for your greatest girlfriend. We hope to see you there. Great girlfriends, are you ready to design and own your life? Are you tired of watching by the sidelines as life passes you by? Many people attend conferences and become inspired but remain the same. Why is that? They lack the accountability and support they need to turn their dreams into a reality. Our resident productivity coach and project manager, Roseanne Uwagwe, is exactly what you need to help you become the doer and disruptor you dream of being. She will help you strategize, set milestones, tackle your vices, and accomplish your mission. Visit her website today at www.roseanne.com/coaching for more information.
So, but that goes into our great girlfriend's question.
It does. One of the questions that we got into our group, and I'll leave her name confidential, but she wanted to know, when is a man ready to settle down? Like, when is a man ready to settle down? How could an amazing woman change his mind if he's not ready at the time?
How can it?
When is a man ready to settle down? In under a minute.
When he's ready.
That's funny. Tricky.
No, I'm joking. No, it's not even sometimes when he's ready. It is if you are. That's a slippery slope because, no disrespect to the person who asked it, but you have to look into your heart and see what qualifies you as an amazing woman, because that means he's got to see the very same things in you. Mm-hmm. And what I don't want is, if he does not see those same things, that's not a knock on you. Mm-hmm. It just might mean, just like we were talking about before, he might not see that his basics can be met with you.
So when is a man ready to settle down?
When he sees and meets a woman who he feels like is the word I'm trying to use, he feels like she's a challenge. We love a challenge. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We absolutely love a challenge. A man needs a mission. Mm-hmm. And if you present that mission, and that's not but a lot of times we do it the wrong way. Like, playing hard to get, you will lose, because he'll just label you as hard to get.
So we have to be clear on what that challenge looks like. I think we got some girlfriends out there who would be fair to say can challenge people in their own respective ways. And what I'm hearing you say is that challenge is relative to whatever that man considers a challenge, but being combative or being aggressive or, tossing accomplishments in front of a man is not challenging him as much as it is belittling him.
You know what? Throwing your accomplishments in front of his face is exactly what he gets from other men.
So a challenge is going to be something that stimulates him or triggers him to do more in certain areas. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and it's an art form that you have to develop, because you have to know when to kind of throw it out there as a challenge and when to pull it back because it may be too much.
But let's be clear, because guys are meeting Rich didn't go see Brandon and say, oh man, she is a challenge. I want to holler at her.
I was a challenge.
But he didn't say that when he first saw you.
No, he didn't say that when he first saw me. But after our very first brunch, he literally told me later that he called all 3 of his girlfriends, friends that are women, not girlfriends, and told them about the brunch.
Yeah.
Wow. Because so I told you what my trick used to be. Great girlfriends, feel free to use this. But my little trick.
Can we verify this one? I'm going to go ahead and verify this one. The men, okay? It
So
worked
one
once.
of the things I would always do, you go through the relationship. Are you in a relationship? Are you in a relationship? And I'd be like, no, I'm not really looking for a relationship. I mean, unless somebody came and swept me off my feet, I'm pretty good.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, here's the thing.
That was my line. That was my line for years.
But no. But here's what you did. And I want to make sure that the great girlfriends and anybody else who's listening knows what you did. There was a little piece that you added in there, and it was a qualifier. We do well with qualifiers. That means no, unless you meet this particular thing. Like you literally, it was like you built the tower, you built the bed, you set the dragon up in front, then you went and laid down, and you set the scene for him so that he could be the hero.
Yeah.
Perfect. Beautiful.
So the guy who wants to be in your life will sweep you off your feet, or he'll be making every attempt at his possible means to sweep you off his feet, and you'll know by his actions and his clear communication that that's what he's about.
And I actually did mean it. I really did mean it, even though it was a line and I knew it was a total line. It was like a little part of that Memphis game. However, I really did mean it.
Well, so the one thing I want to make sure that everyone hears out of this, though, or everyone is prepared for, is if you put that qualifier out there, it may not work.
It may not work.
And that's how you know if he's interested or not.
But what I love about her qualifier, though, is even though she wasn't necessarily bound to it, she was subconsciously setting a standard because Rich did sweep you off your feet. So that conditioning was better for her than it was for the guys that she was meeting along the way.
Right. So the qualifier will trigger the right man.
Absolutely.
He'll say, okay, it's time to listen, because if I want to sweep this girl off my feet, she's just giving the one thing that doesn't happen enough that I believe in relationships, and I hear this from the men's side, is they don't know if the door is open or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't, and again, I'm not an advocate of, kind of just throwing yourself wholeheartedly at a man. That's not what you do, but crack the door open. He'll take the hint if the door is cracked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, I can push it open. This is fine. But if you don't, if you stay in that hardened place and say, he's got to work, because I've heard that now mind you, he does have to work,
right?
But he doesn't have to do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give him something.
No, I honestly think this is where, and our New York great girlfriends, me and Sybil got so much love for you. But I do feel like this is a place where Southern women have a little bit of an edge. Because, seriously, because we can set a very hard standard. Like, for instance, I didn't open any doors in the beginning, right? You said annoy Rich to no end. But when he would open the door, and still to this day, I give him the nicest smile and the nicest thank you so much, babe. And even in the beginning. So it's like, even though I don't feel like opening this door, and you're literally standing right in front of the door and you refuse to open it, that little thank you at the end, it's like, okay. So I feel like it just kind of has to be balanced with a little bit of finesse.
Well, because, and I hopefully I don't get in trouble with my guys for this, but we're nothing but grown boys. So a little reinforcement to what we do means we just do more of it. Because at the end of the day, we want to win. We're competitive. So we're trying to look for ways to win. So if we get thank you, we're like, okay, cool. That means I'm going to file that in the keep doing that folder.
That's so good. That's, what is that book? It says, what is it? Women, Love and Respect. Is that the name of that book? The relationship book? And it talks about like how women are constantly depositing into a man's love bank and a man is constantly depositing into a woman's love bank. I think the book is called Love and Respect, if I'm not mistaken. But it actually talks about that. Like every time you do something when you first start dating, like you're depositing or either you're taking out of the love bank. And like positive reinforcements are you're filling up the love bank. I think that's the name of the book. I'm gonna try to find it.
For men, that is very true.
Yeah.
For men, that is very true, because we're trying to navigate and figure out if you are actually into us.
So is it safe to say for all of our great girlfriends who are on eHarmony and Match and Coffee and Cupcakes and whatever, I could have made that up, y'all. I don't know if that's a real site. Sorry, Coffee and a Bagel and whatever the site is, but all of the women that are putting themselves out there into the pond to say, hey, I'm out here and I'm accessible. Am I hearing you say that all hope is not lost, because the guys that are out there at their core want to experience love in a relationship with someone who can really match with them and help them to level up?
Yes.
You might not be meeting the right person at the right time. Therefore, you're not catching a love relationship, but it's not to say it's not out there. Because I think our girlfriends need some hope to know we didn't catch the last two. Brandon's with Rich and me and Kwaku. There are still some amazing guys. I'm hearing you say that in the Proverb group alone. Proverb is not a matchmaking service, to be clear. But if these men are out there and if they're talking about relationships, it's something that they desire, that they have a thirst for, then we can be assured, our girlfriends can be assured that all hope is not lost, that there's still men out there who aspire to have the right relationship with a rewarding woman.
Yes, 100%.
Girlfriends, listen, you can breathe, because I'm trying to tell you, I'm getting the texts and the messages saying, are they out there? Are they even out there anymore? And where are they? And how can we meet them?
I've been meeting so many great guys lately, and I'd be trying to figure out who to connect them with. I'm like, wait a minute, because I ask, because I'm always on the lookout for my girlfriends. And when you married, you can easily ask a guy, are you single?
Well, we do this all the time. Kwaku, and I see somebody, I'm like, babe, go ask, go find out his status, because I want to put him on the roster for my girlfriend so I can.
Exactly. Girl, I was in a hospital one time visiting my friend's babies, and I saw a nurse, and I said, he'll be perfect for my friend. And I got him on Facebook right then and there on Messenger with her. But no, I do. There are plenty of them out there, and then I'm always trying to think. Now, I will be honest with you, and those are my friends who are listening. Don't be upset with me. So sometimes I meet a really nice guy and I'm like, who can I connect with him with? Who is going to be nice to this man? And I'm like, none of my girls going to be nice to him. I got to throw him back in the pond.
That's hilarious.
Well, wait, why aren't they going to be nice to him? Why?
I don't know. They're just not.
Yeah,
I can see the potential in him, but I can tell they would be like, oh no, his shoes are this, or look at his hair, or I'm like, yeah, they're not going to be nice.
That goes back to my point. You have to look at things like an investor. Like when Sybil and I first met, I had some beat down shoes on. My pants were too tight. You know what I mean? I was getting lost in New York.
He wasn't that busted, y'all. Listen, I didn't pull him off the streets.
No. She didn't rescue me, but
you sound like a rescue.
I wasn't, but I'm very aware at this point about the aspects of me that could have been turnoffs to other women.
They definitely were things that I required in my past. They didn't meet my basics in terms of like they didn't meet my grooming basics were not all the way met in that sense in terms of shoe and style. They were not. No. They were not there.
But you saw something. Apparently you saw. I mean, look, ladies, listen, I'm still good looking. That didn't change. I had the basic part. I wasn't ugly. I wasn't ugly. But
with you tonight, Kwaku.
There were parts of me where she was like, when a girl says, "Oh, that's cute," that's not flattering. That no man really wants to hear that. But I did a lot of cute stuff back in the day. But she had the eye of the investor. She said, "Okay, this guy is half diamond, half coal. I'm gonna work on the other half, and I'm gonna get a full diamond." That's really what it, So there are guys out there. I'm fielding stuff about love. We have a gentleman in my group. Shout out to this guy who's posted in the neighborhood of 60, I think we're at 68 or 69 relationship tips. He posts one every day. And the brothers are clapping and loving it and all that kind of stuff because we want this information. We are just not, we've got so many issues as men that go along, but on top of it, all the guys want a great, loving relationship.
So you just need a little help along the way.
Need a lot of help along the way.
A little help along the way. I mean, honestly, Willie can get some new shoes.
But here's the thing. A friend of mine said this. Okay, I'll give you one. A friend of mine, really close friend of mine, he used to dress real busted, right? Real busted. And then when he started dating this girl, you saw him clean up. And I made a remark to him. I was like, man, you looking sharp, bro. What's happening? He was like, I didn't have anybody to dress for before. And that's the mind of a man. I didn't have a reason to do this before.
Oh my goodness.
But if this is going to get me her, I will do it. And that's who we are. That's who we are. We are constantly trying to be heroes. And so if that's what it takes, but most times we get away with doing the least because nothing is really required.
Well, Sybil, that was a mic drop.
Right? So I know if I were listening and I were a great girlfriend, I would set some high standards. Let me rephrase that. I will set some standards that I also adhere to.
Boom. And there we go.
I personally will make them high. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But my hope is that they will set standards that they adhere to and that they can apply so that the filtering process is a lot easier. And I even love your line, Brandis, about saying, I'm not really looking for a relationship right now unless, you sweep me off my feet. That's a whole other situation. You leave me no choice but to love you. If you lifted me in the air and showing me a type of love I've never seen before, then I'm open to that, right?
You said something. I just want to make sure I piggyback off of it. And I think that this will help a lot of people. And I'm going to go back to the men and actually do the same thing. But I think that one of the best ways to, come across a really great relationship in your life is one, like you're saying, to set a standard for yourself. And as high as that standard is, the thing you do right after that is you make it your business to start meeting that standard yourself. And then I believe that person will come. I do.
I do too. I agree with that.
But what happens is we put all these standards on someone else, on another partner, men and women.
Yeah.
But then we don't meet it ourselves.
I listen, this is my last thing to say before we hop off this podcast. There was a season, I guess, when Idris first, hit the scene.
Oh, Lord Jesus, yeah.
And I have a guy friend who made the comment on Facebook. He was like, I see and hear all these women talking about how fine Idris Elba is and how that's their husband, X, Y, and Z, ABC. But I don't know if any of you have set yourself up physically to be Idris's wife. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, the comment section just blew up. Like, what are you saying? What are you implying? And they're like, the guy, he responded, he said, Idris has a standard that he's established, and it's manifested in the way that he carries himself through discipline. Physical aesthetic or physical fitness has become important to him, or it's displayed. That's something that matters to him. If you don't possess that level of discipline in some of your core areas, then you might not qualify to be Idris's wife, and you got to be okay with that. Oh, they blew up. But what I think I took away from that, which was important, was that if your standard is discipline, you look for people to match you in terms of some form of discipline in their life. They got to be sharp around some things. And if it's character, you look for good character. If you want love, you're looking for people that are going to show you love and the love that you can experience with, not just throwing it out and then expecting to get back something you're not giving.
Right. The standard that I put out there should make it easy for me to find a partner, not a role model. A lot of people are putting these standards out there, men and women, and you're making them so high, and so you're not even able to meet these standards yourself. So you may have to go and revisit some of them and say, is that really a standard, and why? I know, and it's like, you may say like, hey, I want a certain person who does this or who looks like this or whatever. And if you don't match, then you're cheating them. You want it because you want to win out of the deal. But that's not partnership, So as tough as it sounds, a lot of times it is, and we're not just going back to episode 32, but it is, setting some standards, setting some real standards. And look, I'm willing to do it with the girlfriends if need be. Like, let's go through some standards. Let's figure some stuff out, because you'll find out that your list isn't exactly as long as it's probably only 5 or 6 real good things that are tangible. And the rest of them, like, body and all that kind of stuff, are preferences, because people gain and lose weight left and right. I mean, you look on Instagram, you can see that left and right, or jobs or this or that. So, I mean, but all in all, I really feel like if some of the things we talked about, like being a clear communicator, knowing that he doesn't want to be mothered, stuff like that. If you just start doing some of that, I feel like you'll start to locate individuals that are on your same frequency. You know what I mean? That are ready and that qualify for you, and that want to be with you and want to make you happy, and because we all, the scary part about the world for me is we all want love, but we all settle for connection. So whatever physical thing I can feel or whatever makes me feel good, that's why it's cuffing season most times.
Yeah. It's connection.
It makes me feel good, but that person in that relationship, that loving relationship, will make you feel so much better. And it may take a little bit of waiting. It may take a little bit of work on your end, and people hate the W word. But if you do that, then you can have it. I spent time without a relationship before I met Sybil, and I worked on me, and it was hard, and I cried, and men do cry. And I cried. I took myself to the movies. I ate by myself. I got to know myself. And I said, look, here's the woman that I want to date. But if I want to date her, I have to be this person in order to get her. So I went about and made it my job to be that person. I went to the gym. I read. I did a bunch of things to make sure that I was ready. So, and
so
there are more of us out there. Believe me,
we bringing these proverbs.
I got a group with almost 1,300 men. And most
so we don't be bringing these proverbs to the girlfriends.
We're on our end. You know what we're doing? On our end, which is interesting. And I get this question a lot. We're actually doing the work. And that's what I love about the proverb group and those men. We're having honest.
But our great girlfriends are doing the work.
Well, no, I'm not saying, and I'm only talking about the men, but we're not, because most times as men, we don't communicate with one another.
Absolutely.
So the simple fact that we're having dialogue is, and it's baby steps for us. But I'm proud of all of our guys. I'm proud of the guys that interact. I'm proud of the guys that just read posts and, and don't interact, because we're growing. So I don't know what we're going to meet.
You, Kwaku, on Proverb. Whenever you get ready for your Proverb men to meet the great girlfriends, they're ready. And
I got to have you guys on to talk to the men to tell them some stuff that they need to know, because we need to figure it out too.
So you keep us posted.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Kwaku. Typically, when you're not here, we're thanking you and saying how much I love you for being an awesome guy. So thank you for sharing this episode with us.
You're welcome.
And I want to thank Rich Daniel, who's off in Brooklyn, who I'm missing like crazy. But thank you so much for just being you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And to Miss Sky.
Yay. And thank you, all of our great girlfriends, for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter. Make sure you listen every week on Stitcher, iTunes, Podcast Republic, Podcast Bean, Blueberry, Spotify, iHeart, and every other podcasting service. Be sure to check us out on social, on Twitter.
_great_GFS.
On Facebook.
The Great Girlfriends.
On Instagram.
Great Girlfriends.
And be sure to join our Facebook group, over 16,000 strong, and that is The Great Girlfriends as well. Make sure you post your questions online, you share with your friends. Keep listening.
And keep being a great girlfriend.
I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis.
And we're signing off.
Kwaku, you're not saying bye-bye to our great girlfriends?
Bye, ladies. I didn't want to get in the way. Bye, ladies. Bye. Thank you for having me.